Trackwrestling.com 2017 World Championships here in Paris, France. Here with John Smith, head coach at Oklahoma State. No stranger to the World Championships, of course, as an athlete and a coach on the men's side, but a new role, Coach Smith. You were a volunteer coach on the women's freestyle team. How did that come about? When was that seed planted?
Well, it was this summer sometime. Rich Bender and, of course, Terry Steiner asked, and it was easy to say yes. You know, I'm glad I did. It was a good experience watching these girls train every day and seeing a little different side of maybe the men's side than you would. And I've actually learned a lot through this experience. So, you know, 3 medals, a gold, a silver, and a bronze. We might have just saw the best wrestler in the world in women's wrestling, in Helen. I mean, what a performance. Allie finished strong with another second silver medal, and of course Becca with her first bronze medal. So, you know, it was, you know, you wish you could always do more, but for me it was a good experience, and we're leaving with some medals, and gives these women something to look forward to as we approach the future.
If I would have said to you 25 years ago that you'd be in Paris, France in 2017 coaching women's freestyle wrestling, with all due respect to women's freestyle wrestling, what would you have said to me back then?
I'd have been surprised, right? Things change, and here we are. You know, our women's program is strong. We need to continue to develop it, and I think Terry Steiner is the right guy to do that. So I'm just glad to be a small part of it.
You said you learned a couple of things. Anything you can share in particular?
Oh, just the difference. There's a real difference between coaching men and coaching women. You know, there's a difference, and you know, you can say there's not, but I can see it, and I think as I get a little bit more experience, I might be a little better coach with women.
What was most surprising to you with this experience? Anything stand out?
I think the one thing that I have a lot of respect for is that they train. Work hard. The technique is really good, and I guess I haven't seen it up close like I saw last month. We got some young ladies that can flat hit good skill and good turns, and have a background of really basic fundamentals.
What would your message be to the rest of the country as far as the significance, the importance of women's wrestling in this country?
Well, I think, you know, it's been in the U.S. for quite some time. And, you got to respect the fight for them to be noticed, and it hadn't been easy. I think that we have a gap right now that looks promising, and I think that it would be crazy for us to not take advantage of it and continue to promote women's wrestling and see it grow.
I was talking to one of the athletes, don't recall who it was. It might have been Haley Ogella, but I'm not positive. And I asked her about the impact of you. And they mentioned the fact of your honesty. They said, when it comes to drilling, if it's an okay go, he'll tell you. If it's good, he'll tell you. If it was great, he'll tell you. If you could, just speak to us inside your mind as far as just how critical it is to be honest with athletes, and how you've kind of developed that process over the years.
Well, I think you just, you know, that's, people want to know the truth, you know, and if they don't, then they're not in it for the right reason, you know, and you know, to make improvements with your student athletes, with our Olympic athletes and world athletes, you got to be brutally honest, you know, and you got to talk to them about what doesn't look good and what looks good. So it's not all negative, but you darn sure need to. You move forward when you recognize that there's areas that they need improvement, and they got to be able to deal with the way you coach them into trying to see that improvement. So maybe it's honesty. I don't know.
They're trying to get women's wrestling in NCAA. I know that's been moving forward a little bit. Is that something you would ever see at Oklahoma State?
Well, you know, I don't think you should never say never. You know. I think that process is in place right now, and I just say that there's definitely support from a lot of people right now to see that happen, you know. But that process sometimes takes a little time, you know. And I think when you say, would you ever see it at Oklahoma State? I think it's a great possibility you might see it at Oklahoma State, you know. But I think as we go through this process over the next year or few years, we continue to recognize the numbers that we have in women's wrestling, the number of athletes that are out there, and I think the focus needs to continue to be the growth of women's wrestling.
You mentioned Helen Marilla earlier. I believe it was 52-0 in winning her second world title. Of course, she won the gold in Rio. What impressed you most in spending some time with her and observing the way she goes about things?
You don't see as much difference from her from practice to competition. Pretty reliable athlete. I mean, you go watch her in practice, kind of the same mentality, and so that's she gets to practice a lot what she does in matches, you know, and the way she brings it to practice and the way she performs in practice, the way she works in practice. There's no secret to why she's one of the best wrestlers in the world, if not the best.
Women's freestyle in the book, USA with 3 medals. Now we'll turn our attention to men's freestyle. You've been, of course, around that group as well. What are some thoughts that stand out when you look at those
well,
8 strong guys?
It's an exciting team, right? I mean, we got an exciting team, and I think there's some potential here, but we also know that it's tough, you know, and there's nothing easy about it. And but we have some guys that have had some success on the team. We have some looks like to be some first-time guys that are hopeful guys. So I think we're going to see a heck of an event tomorrow, and the next 2 days anyway. I think we're going to see a great freestyle tournament.
What do you recall from that first World Championship experience you had? The first one.
You know, just recognizing how tough each match is. You know, you just really recognize that every round gets tougher. You know, it doesn't get easier. It gets tougher, and I think when you approach it in that way, a lot of times you'll get tougher. You know, when you know you got to be at your best. You know, and more than likely you're going to have your best match. You know, in the finals if you're going to win, obviously. But I can just tell you that the competition gets tough with each round, and sometimes you're wrestling some of the best guys early on.
What's new at Oklahoma State? College season will be here in a couple of months.
We're undefeated.
Everybody's in first place in late August. Yeah. What are you most looking forward to with, you know, it's another new season, new circumstances?
Well, you know, it's, and I think that's what you enjoy. You know, it's going to be a little bit different from the standpoint of, we got one senior returning, rest are underclassmen. You know, you just know that appears to be deeper each year. You know, a couple new teams are going to be in the mix that maybe wasn't there last year. So the depth and the parity of college wrestling is great, and I think we're living the good old days of college wrestling. It's pretty exciting, and I'm sure we're going to see another exciting year this season.
I want to talk to you a little bit about high school wrestling, because I think it's so important. Anything built has got to be built from a strong foundation. We were talking before Ellie Reagan's gold medal final for quite some time about high school wrestling, the forfeits, you know, how to fix that. You had some really interesting thoughts. Could you share those a little bit? Well,
you know, I think just education is important. I think we need to get back to trying to help coaches know what to expect when they start coaching, especially with young coaches. I'm not sure we have enough education for them as they're approaching you know, 24, 25 years old, their first job and their first job in coaching. That'll help, you know. And you know, I think everything goes back to, you know, helping people learn about the sport and what to expect when they start coaching in high school, and maybe giving them some ideas. But I know that we don't have very many opportunities for you know, student athletes now to go into a coaching degree like there used to be, you know. So that's something that concerns me, and hopefully it can change in the future.
What about as far as how you deal with kids, young wrestlers?
Well, I mean, you know, I've never coached high school, but I know that those second and third team, you know, athletes that you have, I know they need a season, and they need to be able to participate. And I think a lot of times that maybe the kid we're losing more and more. You know, so you know, and I get that information from several people, not something I'm just making up. But I think as a high school coach, you know, just kind of keep in mind that your second and your third teamer, you know, as I do, have a plan for them for the season. To be able to compete, to be able to travel and wrestle somewhere. I know it could be hard with budgets and things like that, but it sure makes a difference in keeping people out.
Last question I have for you, Coach Smith. When I look at your accolades, what you've done as an athlete, the World Championships, the Olympic titles, think about the Sullivan Award, what you've done as a coach at Oklahoma State, what are you most proud of? What one accomplishment would you not trade for the world? Which one stands atop the rest?
You know, I don't know. I think there's several things that you think about that you're proud of. But you know, it seems like I enjoy a lot more seeing my guys accomplish their dreams, like a national championship, individual national title. Seems like that's a little bit closer to me now than maybe even winning a gold medal. It seems like that happened so long ago that you know, there's so many things you want to accomplish since that time. So you know, it doesn't get better than seeing a national champion. You know, seeing the excitement of it, seeing the journey that they've taken, and being able to reach the top. It's a pretty good feeling as a coach.
Always great to chat. Thank you so much, Coach Smith.
Thank you.